We here at Camp Perry, we was real happy to see that Greg's partying days was over and that he was ready to come back and reclaim domination.
He was really able to show off the hand speed he always had.
Everything was great. I bowed out, and Greg became dominant in the middleweight division.
Everything was going great for the two boxer friends. Meanwhile, Cesar's career seemed washed up until one fateful day when he met the man who would change his life.
So one day I'm in the gym, I'm just working out. Some guy just comes in, some crazy guy just starts yelling and everything like that, talking to all the other guys working out, like saying that, why aren't you encouraging Cesar to get back into the game, blah, blah, blah. You know, that you guys are all part of a family. If you're in the gym, you train, you work out together, and that's your job.
I asked the kid, who's in management? And he said with this stupid punk look on his face, I ain't got none. I could have thrown up on the spot right there.
He convinced me to have lunch with him and go back to his place, so within the first 10 minutes I knew that I was going to have a coach. I mean, the man's a legend.
Ricky, also known as Tricky Ricky, has more history than Greg and Cesar combined. Ricky was the only 6-year champion of Punch-Out. 6 years of being undefeated. He was also known for his great defense and his ability to quickly evade a punch.
I just fell in love with the game, you know? Next thing I know, I'm rising to the top, and I'm the champ.
But it wasn't always good times with Ricky. When Punch-Out became Super Punch-Out, Ricky was not able to adapt.
It just got all weird on me. Mac wasn't little no more, and you're invisible. You couldn't even see yourself fight.
By the 90s, Ricky was just considered washed up, and the sporting world completely forgot about him.
I just disappeared, left the scene, until I saw this kid. I knew what he was going through, and I couldn't let that happen to him.
Since then, it's just been like a great marriage between the two of us. I mean, he's just got me working out and training and watching tapes, doing things I never did before.
Cesar now had direction towards his career. There was only one problem. There was no outlet.
The guy was a nobody. I mean, his last fight was a loss against Grant Miles, who was already now, by this time, retired.
The hardest part about this career is that if you lose a fight, like your career's almost over. No one wanted to fight me. If they lost, then they had lost to Cesar Romero, who was a nobody. And if they won, it was like, oh, big deal, you beat Cesar Romero. He's yesterday's news. So it was just tough. There was only one route I could go.
That route was the same route Cesar had gone down twice already, a rematch with Grant. The fight would set up the final match for a trilogy. The only problem was that Grant was retired.
We knew it was going to take a lot to get Grant out of retirement. He was pretty stubborn about it. So we just tried different tactics. I made a music video to get him out. We knew the fight would be big. It would be huge, you know, Grant versus Cesar 3. So it would make a lot of money. So we threw a huge sum at him. I used dirty tactics. I called him out on TV as many times as possible. We just did whatever we could, and finally we reeled him in.
September 14th was the date, and there was a lot of hype surrounding the fight.
The man made a music video.
There is none higher. When I use these, they call me sire. To earn my kingdom, I must lose fire. And I won't stop boxing till I retire. I'm Roy. Y'all must have forgot. Y'all must have forgot.
I mean, by the time the song hit the Billboard #1 charts, this fight was going to be a big fight. The first big fight that was going to be on the marquee with Cesar's name on it.
So for the fight, I made kind of a little prediction. I said that I would take Grant out in 6 rounds. It only took 5.
He absolutely killed Grant's career at that point. I never seen anyone determined that much for a fight like Cesar. I don't even know what happened that night, but I was just connecting with so many punches.
September 14th became Cesar's breakout night. There was no slow progression, only domination on Cesar's end.
If you look at the scorecards from that night, nobody gave him a round. I was just determined that night, that year, to make a statement.
If Cesar was trying to make a statement, it certainly reached out to the middleweight champion.
We knew that Cesar had been in the fight game for quite some time now, and with the success of his last fight, he was going to be a big-time moneymaker for me and Greg, and then we could go fight an easy fight and get some money.
Word on the street was, if Greg picked up a quick fight with Cesar, he'd have a nice payday because Cesar's marketability after beating Grant, and he'd still fight a grade C fighter, so of course he wanted to take this fight.
I was so happy when Greg signed the contract that day. I mean, I knew he was underestimating me, thinking that I wasn't going to be a big challenge. I mean, I was like, a 3-1 underdog.
Cesar was so excited about the whole thing. He started training right after the contract was signed.
We was on a strict regiment. We worked hard every day. 3 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the late evening to the afternoon. And in the middle, we watched tapes. Lots of tapes. And we studied a new technique.
Up until his fight with Greg, Cesar had always been a slugger. He would always try to come out there and try to take you out as soon as he could. Well, for this fight, Cesar knew that technique would just not work this time.
It's really just a simple technique of throwing out the jab and piercing with a straight right hand. I've become more of a technician than a slugger. More of a counter fighter than the initiator.
The overall effect would be that Greg would be coming to Cesar, allowing Cesar for him to pick him apart.
I don't think anybody was expecting what happened the night of that fight.
The fight took center stage that night in Vegas, and Cesar wanted everyone to see that his light was going to shine the brightest.
Greg came into the fight the way he usually does. He seemed almost like a replica of all the tapes I had been watching.
It really looked like Greg trained for this fight. I just don't think he expected Cesar to come out with the style and technique that he did.
Then the unthinkable. Greg got knocked down.
I couldn't believe it. I never seen Greg get knocked out before.
Greg would get back up, but would only remain a shell of what he was in the first. By round 8, Greg was knocked out.
It was at that moment that I knew the fight was mine.